Today we're going to show you how to install a seat concept foam and cover kit on your seat. You'll go in there, just get underneath the staple edge, pull it up, dig them up, not gonna break anything, pop them up as you go. Alright, now that all the staples are loose, not in the pan no more, you just simply grab the material, roll it over. Pull it up. A lot will peel off pretty easy like this, some do not. Some you'll have a problem with because they're real thin like the new KTMs. You can use any kind of contact adhesive that works with plastic and foam. We use a general purpose adhesive. You can use 3M 80 or 3M 77's real common at the store, so any of those will work. It's just basically to hold the foam to the pan while you put the cover on and just keep it kind of locked. I do kind of like the factory, the back and up around the front edge. You'll spray both the foam and the plastic. Follow the directions on your particular usage of spray. Now I'll wait for the set time per the instructions and we'll move forward from there. You'll want to glue the front edge down into the channel, center it, lay it down, get the V part of the seat where it needs to be. Then the back you'll center up, make sure it's in the right spot. Just kind of push it down where you glued it, get good contact. You can use a manual stapler. We use air, obviously it's a lot faster, especially working by yourself. You don't have to worry about having the foam on a hard object to drive the staples in. Air is real simple, just kind of line it up. At that point, you just kind of get the general area down. We use a silicone spray. You don't have to. All it does is helps the foam let the cover slide around on it when you're centering up to staple it. You just put like a light coat on around the edges, the top surface. I'll do the cover too. Run your finger along the seam. You know, the more you get that cover pushed out to the seam edge, the better it's going to fit initially, and you'll get that better look. It will eventually, the foam will push it out, but if you kind of get your finger in there and just kind of push it out, make sure it's folded out, you're good to go. You'll start with the front. You just kind of slide it over the front of the seat. Kind of get it. You'll want to get it straight where these seams are symmetrical and this fits right along the edge. So I'll just kind of pull it down, see where I'm happy with the seam line up. I usually pull the foam down with the cover where the seam's about flush with what would be the tank, essentially. And I'll just put a couple staples in. Some of the bigger seats, like XR line and stuff, you could do a little bit more down the edging because when you pull it, it requires a lot of preload to get the wrinkles out. You'll want to make sure your seams, you can see where the sewing is symmetrical from side to side. And you're going to pull the cover a little bit taut, where you can see in here it's not real loose, it's kind of a nice flat surface, a little bit of preload. That helps get the wrinkles out when you start to pull the sides. Some models we have updated the foam and cover kit where this barely will reach. You feel like you're really cranking this. It's designed that way. A lot of people weren't putting a preload on the bike, on the seat covers, to get the wrinkles out, so what we did was made the cover short where you had to pull it tight. On this one, we have a little bit excess. We'll go ahead and pull it where we're happy with it. Flip it up. I'll just go ahead and put 2 staples in the back edge. Pull the center down where the transition is. And just kind of look at it. Make sure your seams are symmetrical side to side. You don't want, obviously, the seat cover all to one side or the other. At that point, go ahead and let go of one side. You kind of know where you want to be. Just pull a little bit more, flip the cover over the edge, and start right there. So, go ahead, flip it over, and and staple it. You can use these for guidelines, the seams, same side to side roughly. Will get you a good starting basis where the seams are symmetrical from side to side. You can see there's some wrinkling, not the end of the world. You can work that out as we go. Key to doing this part is making sure the cover is warm. Doing it cold, the vinyl does not stretch, and you will fight yourself till the end. It's doable, but heat will be your best friend. We use sunlight when it's available. Sunny California, pretty common. Just kind of pull it over. You don't want to crank it down too tight where it deforms the material in the foam. Just kind of preload it, staple it, and then same on the other side. And from there, you'll just kind of pull it, taut. Do not need to staple every 1/4 inch. Make sure everything lines up the way you want. Squeeze, roll, whatever you need to do, to get what you're looking for. And as you push it, you can see, oh, if I go this way or that way, you can see what helps the wrinkles and what doesn't. So when we get to that point, I'll show you how that works out for your favor. At this point, you can pull it down, and as you're grabbing the side, pull back, rub it. You can see your wrinkles kind of disappearing. At that point, go ahead. And you gotta keep in mind, don't hold the whole cover to one side, because your seam will be off to one side, and then all of a sudden, it's all lopsided. So you gotta keep in mind, you gotta go this way. Do not get this so cranked down that you're compressing the foam. It makes the seat firm all of a sudden, because you're taking out any of the give. Do it with one hand. Like I say, air stapler makes it nice and easy. And get it set. I'll start kind of in the middle. At that point, I'll double check. Everything's looking good. Wrinkles are laying out. Seams are nice and symmetrical. We're good. So at this point, you just kind of pull some of your slack out. Make sure it's nice, and then you'll just run along the edge. You're pulling down, kind of pull it back a little bit, because that helps pull this material taut. So usually about this point, I'll start thinking about my curve. Wherever the radius starts, kind of plan ahead. I'll go ahead and start with the seam, kind of pull it back and down. I always staple in the seam, that way it has the staple holding it from side to side, so that way if you start to really crank on it, the staple helps keep the seam together. Okay, at this point, keep double checking that everything's lining up. So at this point, I'll go ahead and do this side. Start in the middle. Pinch it just about where you want your staple. Roll it forward a little bit, and you can watch the edge where you're going to see this area that's visible. Kind of pull it forward a little bit. It'll cause a wrinkle. Put a staple right there. Not visible on the outside of the bike, and then you'll just keep walking it. So now that is nice and clean, and you can see it just kind of wrinkles up underneath. When you trim it, it's on the bike, not visible. Here you'll see that, you kind of manipulate the cover a little bit but for the most part, your seams are symmetrical and side to side. Some people are like, oh, it's kind of, jagged around the edge of the tongue when you first get it done. Not a big deal. It's with some heat, some time, what happens is the material stretches a little bit and lets the seams kind of work its way into its familiar, comfortable spot where it's a nice, smooth arc. So not a big deal. Typically these will eventually work their way out with time. On obviously the inside of the pan of the staples, leave a little bit of room. You don't want to cut right on top of the staples or the material could potentially pull out. And you just kind of pull it up as you cut so you can see where you're going. Keep it nice and clean. The seams right here on the edge with the backing will have a little bit more material, so you'll cut it a little bit harder. And then just kind of cut around the edge. Seat's ready to go, mount it up, and go for your ride and enjoy it. What you'll gain is a better foam, a wider, flatter seating area. Thanks a lot. Enjoy.